When alien soldiers realized why humanity is the galaxy's deadliest predator. Part. The massive crystalline dome of the Galactic Council's judgment chamber glittered with the light of 3 artificial suns. Commander Alara Reed stood alone on the central platform, a solitary human surrounded by tiers of alien representatives from across the Milky Way. Her breathing was measured, controlled, betraying nothing of the tension coiling within her as thousands of multifaceted eyes studied her with a mixture of curiosity, disdain, and unmistakable fear. Species designation, human. Planet of origin, Earth. Sol system, announced the towering arbitrator Voxel, his translucent skin pulsing with bioluminescent patterns that translated his thoughts. You stand accused of violating Galactic Protocol 773B. Unauthorized defensive measures resulting in the destruction of a consortium peacekeeping fleet. Reed's gaze remained steady. With respect, arbitrator, we were defending our colony. The fleet you refer to was preparing to bombard New Montana with antimatter warheads. A ripple of murmurs cascaded through the chamber as representatives communicated in hundreds of different languages. Silence. Voxel's voice reverberated. The consortium maintains they were conducting standard planetary security assessments. 17 warships and over 12,000 crew members were lost when your defensive systems activated. Systems we never revealed having, added a hulking Dravarian general, his armored exoskeleton clicking with agitation. Technology that should be impossible for a species barely 3 centuries into space travel. Reed's lips curved into the slightest smile. We're full of surprises. The chamber erupted in outrage as holographic displays activated showing the battle footage. The consortium fleet, confident in their overwhelming firepower, had positioned themselves in textbook formation around the seemingly defenseless human colony. What happened next defied conventional military doctrine. Autonomous defense platforms emerging from camouflage positions, targeting algorithms predicting and countering every evasive maneuver. Energy weapons that bypassed advanced shields. Explain how a species that only discovered faster than light travel in 2189 has developed military capabilities that rival the hegemony itself, demanded Voxel. Reed straightened her shoulders. Humanity evolved on what you would classify as a death world. Every predator on Earth either went extinct or learned to avoid us. We've been perfecting the art of warfare against ourselves for thousands of years before we ever looked to the stars. The feed changed to historical footage, ancient armies clashing with primitive weapons, world wars with increasingly sophisticated technology, modern special forces executing impossible missions. While the Galactic Consortium was building an interstellar civilization through cooperation, you were perfecting how to kill each other, asked a horrified Xanthian diplomat. We were surviving, Reed corrected, and in that crucible, we forged something unique. Adaptability, ingenuity, and an unmatched talent for unconventional warfare. A new hologram appeared, classified footage of the recent Krexar invasion of the Pleiades sector. The vastly outnumbered human defenders had not only repelled the attack, but had captured 3 Krexar dreadnoughts intact. The Krexar report is classified, hissed an intelligence officer. Reed's expression remained impassive. As I said, full of surprises. The chamber fell silent as the implications settled in. Humanity wasn't just dangerous, they were unpredictable. They thought differently. They fought differently. The council will deliberate, Voxel announced, his luminescence dimming with concern. Commander Reed will remain in custody until... An aide rushed forward, whispering urgently to the arbitrator. Voxel's bioluminescence flashed in patterns of alarm. This session is adjourned, he announced abruptly. All representatives are to return to their delegations immediately. As the chamber emptied in controlled chaos, Reed was approached by a Tellurian security officer. What's happening? She asked. The officer's compound eyes darted nervously. The hegemony fleet stationed at Proxima Centauri has gone silent. All 73 ships. No distress call, no debris field. They're just gone. Reed closed her eyes briefly. It's begun then. What has begun, human? The real demonstration of why we're the deadliest predators in the galaxy. She locked eyes with the officer, and why the council should be very, very careful about what they decide to do next. The security holding area was a bubble of translucent energy that allowed Reed to see the council tower's central atrium. Sleek transport pods whisked alien diplomats to emergency sessions. Military officers from a dozen species huddled in urgent consultation. Reed sat calmly watching. Admiral Marcus Kane entered the detention area, his weathered face grim. The guards permitted him entry to Reed's cell. "Status report?" Reed asked quietly. "Operation Shadow Web is proceeding as planned," Kane replied. "The Proxima fleet never detected our stealth carriers before the EMP devices activated. We've captured their command ships intact and disabled the rest. Our teams are accessing their navigational databases now." Reed nodded. "And the other objectives?" "All proceeding on schedule. Our infiltration teams are in position on 12 critical consortium worlds. The deep space communications relays have been compromised. If the Council votes against us, we can isolate their homeworlds from each other within minutes." Reed studied the aliens moving through the atrium. "They still don't understand what they're dealing with, do they?" Kane's expression was solemn. "No. Their military doctrine is based on overwhelming force and numerical superiority. The concept of asymmetric warfare is practically unknown to them. They've never faced an enemy that thinks like we do. Their civilizations evolved through cooperation. Ours evolved through competition," Reed observed. "They're builders. We're hunters." A new commotion drew their attention to the atrium. A group of high-ranking military officers was escorting a small delegation of humans toward the council chambers. "The diplomatic team has arrived," Kane said. "Director Harlow will present our terms." Reed watched as her fellow humans moved confidently through the alien crowd. Though outnumbered by beings from hundreds of worlds, there was something unmistakably dangerous in their bearing. The aliens seemed to sense it too, giving the humans a wide berth. "Do you think they'll accept our terms?" Kane asked. Reed's gaze was steady. "They don't have a choice. We've already demonstrated what happens when they underestimate us. The question is whether they're wise enough to recognize the threat we pose before we have to provide further examples." A soft chime indicated an incoming secure transmission. Kane checked his neural link. "It's beginning," he said. "Director Harlow is entering the council chamber now." Reed nodded. "Then we'll soon know if we've earned our place among the stars through diplomacy, or if we need to show them why Earth's apex predator should never be cornered." As alarms began to sound throughout the massive council tower, Reed stood and straightened her uniform. "Humanity has spent its entire history preparing for this moment," she said. "We just never knew it would be among the stars rather than on our world." The energy field containing her dissolved. Outside, chaos was spreading as reports of human military actions across a dozen systems flooded in. The deadliest predators in the galaxy had arrived, and the Galactic Council was about to learn a fundamental truth. Those who evolve on gentle worlds never understand the creatures forged in fire. When alien soldiers realized why humanity is the galaxy's deadliest predator. Part 2. The Galactic Council's emergency session began with panic and ended with stunned silence. Director Jack Harlow stood at the center of the vast chamber, the only calm figure amid the storm. Behind him, projected on the chamber's massive displays, tactical maps showed human stealth ships appearing in dozens of supposedly secure systems. Military installations suddenly compromised. Communication hubs disabled, key defense platforms mysteriously offline. "This is not a declaration of war," Harlow stated, his voice cutting through the chamber's chaos. "This is a negotiation, a demonstration of what happens when you underestimate a species that evolved as pursuit predators." The Council's supreme arbiter, Foxel, rose to his full height, bioluminescent patterns flashing with barely controlled rage. "Your actions constitute an act of aggression against the Galactic Consortium. You have violated the sovereign space of 17 member species." Harlow remained unmoved. "And yet not a single life has been lost. We disabled your ships, not destroyed them. We infiltrated your defenses to demonstrate vulnerability, not to conquer. The question before this council is simple. Will you recognize humanity as equals, or must we continue this demonstration?" The Dravarian general slammed his armored fist down. "Your species is barely out of its planetary cradle. You have no right to demand equal status with civilizations thousands of years older." "Age is irrelevant," Harlow replied. "Capability is what matters, and we have just proven our capabilities exceed your expectations." A murmur spread through the chamber as the reality of the situation sank in. Human ships had penetrated the most secure systems in consortium space without detection. Human operatives had disabled critical infrastructure without raising alarms until it was too late. How? Asked a Meridian scientist, her feathered crest rising in distress. How did your ships avoid our sensor networks? The technology should be beyond your development stage. Harlow smiled. You're asking the wrong question. The right question is, why did you assume we would approach space warfare the same way you do? The holographic displays changed to show footage from Earth's oceans. Sharks gliding silently through dark waters. Octopi changing colors to match their surroundings. Mantis shrimp striking with explosive force. On our world, the most successful predators are not always the largest or strongest, Harlow explained. They're the ones that hunt in ways their prey doesn't expect. Humanity applied those same principles to space combat. The displays shifted again, showing human stealth craft with hull materials that absorbed sensor scans rather than reflecting them, propulsion systems that mimicked background radiation patterns, and targeting systems that predicted enemy movements by analyzing psychological patterns specific to each alien species. While you built bigger ships with more powerful weapons, we studied how to make ourselves invisible, Harlow continued. While you perfected planetary bombardment tactics, we developed surgical strike capabilities that could disable rather than destroy. We don't need to annihilate an enemy fleet when we can simply blind it, deafen it, and leave it drifting. The chamber had grown deathly quiet. The implications were sinking in. Humanity hadn't just developed unexpected technology. They had developed an entirely different approach to warfare. You hunt like the shadow predators of the ancient oceans, observed an elder Zithian, his voice grave, not with overwhelming force but with stealth, precision, and unexpected methods. Exactly, Harlow nodded. And now we offer you a choice. Option 1. The Council acknowledges humanity as a full member with equal standing, respects our territorial boundaries, and ceases all military intelligence operations against Earth and its colonies. And Option 2? Asked Voxel, though his dimming bioluminescence suggested he already knew the answer. Option 2 is that we continue our demonstration, Harlow replied quietly. The operations you've witnessed were conducted by less than 8% of our fleet. We've identified 327 critical vulnerabilities in consortium defense networks that could be exploited simultaneously. We've mapped the personal security details of every council member and high-ranking military officer. We know the locations of your species' homeworld evacuation shelters. The silence that followed was profound. Not just fear, but a dawning realization that spread through the chamber like a cold wave. Humanity had studied them, analyzed them, found their weaknesses, all while the consortium believed humans were still struggling to establish their first extrasolar colonies. A Tellurian admiral stepped forward, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. Your species possesses no telepathic abilities, no natural camouflage, no significant physical advantages. How did you become the dominant species on your world? We learned to think differently than our prey, Harlow answered. We developed pattern recognition skills that let us predict behavior. We crafted tools that extended our reach. We communicated and coordinated in ways that made the group more deadly than the individual. The holographic display showed ancient humans on the African savanna, persistence hunting by tracking animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. Most importantly, Harlow continued, we never stop adapting. When a strategy fails, we develop new ones. When an enemy learns our tactics, we change them. The deadliest predator isn't the strongest, it's the one that never stops evolving. The council chamber erupted into urgent discussions in hundreds of languages. Delegation heads conferred with military advisors. Strategic analysts ran simulations based on the new information. After several tense minutes, Voxel raised his hands for silence. The council will recess for deliberation. Director Harlow, you will be escorted to diplomatic quarters until our decision is reached. As Harlow was led from the chamber, he passed Admiral Kane and Commander Reed, who had been released from detention. They're frightened, Reed observed quietly. Good, Harlow replied. Fear is an appropriate response to a predator. Kane's expression was grim. Will they make the right choice? They're logical beings, Harlow said. They'll calculate the cost and realize that accepting us as equals is far less dangerous than forcing us to prove our capabilities further. In the diplomatic suite, Earth's delegation gathered around a secure communication terminal. The holographic image of the United Earth Defense Command appeared. showing the Situation Room where humanity's leaders awaited news. Phase 1 complete, Harlow reported. The Council is deliberating now. And if they choose poorly? Asked the Defense Secretary. Reed stepped forward. Then we move to Phase 2. Our ships are positioned to disable the consortium's primary communication network. Without faster-than-light communications, their military response will be fragmented, uncoordinated. We can isolate and neutralize any threatening elements before they organize. The Defense Secretary nodded. Let us hope it doesn't come to that. Humanity doesn't want war. No, Kane agreed. But if forced, we will demonstrate why every predator on Earth learned to fear us, and why we're now the deadliest hunters in the galaxy. As night fell on the Council world, the humans waited patiently in their quarters. Unlike the alien delegates rushing in panic through the corridors outside, they showed no signs of stress or urgency. They simply waited, confident in their preparations, ready for whatever came next. The calm stillness of apex predators who knew their prey had nowhere to run. When alien soldiers realized why humanity is the galaxy's deadliest predator, Part 3. The Council's deliberation had lasted 3 full planetary rotations when the unthinkable happened. The Vex Dominion, a warlike species from the Galactic Rim, who had long resisted joining the consortium, launched a surprise attack on the Council world. Massive warships dropped out of hyperspace, their weapons already charging as planetary defense systems scrambled to respond. In the diplomatic quarters, the human delegation watched the attack unfold on emergency broadcasts. The Vex had timed their assault perfectly, while the consortium's leadership was distracted by the human situation and their military. Forces were spread thin investigating the disabled Proxima fleet. This is no coincidence, Admiral Kane muttered, studying the tactical displays. The Vex have been waiting for an opportunity like this for decades, Director Harlow's communicator chimed. It was Voxel, the Council arbitrator. Director, the alien's voice was strained, bioluminescent patterns pulsing erratically. The Vex Dominion has launched an all-out assault. Their primary target appears to be the Council Tower. Our defensive fleet was deployed to your border worlds and cannot return in time. We request the transmission cut off as the building shuddered under the impact of orbital bombardment. Emergency sirens wailed throughout the complex. Commander Reed glanced at Harlow. Sir? Harlow was silent for a moment. Send the signal. Reed activated her neural link, transmitting a simple coded message. Within moments, the diplomatic suites displays lit up with new tactical data as hidden human stealth. Ships throughout the system revealed themselves and began moving toward the Vex fleet. The Council hasn't even agreed to our terms yet, Kane noted. True, Harlow replied, but this is an opportunity to demonstrate that humanity can be a valuable ally, not just a dangerous enemy. The diplomatic suite's door slid open as Voxel and several Council representatives rushed in, their normally dignified demeanor replaced by undisguised panic. The Vex have deployed ground forces, Voxel announced. They're targeting the Council members specifically. The tower's defenses are failing. Harlow turned to him calmly. We can help, but I need your authorization to deploy our forces within consortium space. Voxel hesitated only briefly before nodding. Granted. The Council hereby authorizes Earth Defense Forces to engage the Vex Dominion. Reed was already moving, pulling compact equipment from hidden compartments in the diplomatic luggage. Our primary strike team is aboard the stealth vessel Nemesis in high orbit. They can deploy within minutes, Admiral. We'll need a secure route to the tower's central control systems. The alien representatives watched in astonishment as the supposedly diplomatic mission transformed into a military operation with practiced efficiency. Hidden weapons appeared from what had seemed like ordinary accessories. Formal attire was quickly modified into combat gear. You came prepared for war to a peace negotiation? Asked a horrified Xanthian representative. We came prepared for anything, Harlow corrected. That's what humans do. Outside, the city was in chaos as Vex dropships landed, disgorging armored troops. The Council Tower's shields were failing under the sustained orbital bombardment. In space, the Vex fleet formed a blockade, preventing any reinforcements from reaching the planet. Our ships are engaging the Vex now, Reed reported, monitoring tactical feeds through her neural link. But the orbital battle won't be resolved quickly. We need to secure the Council members and critical systems, here on the ground. Kane pulled up a holographic map of the tower. The council evacuation protocols would take them to the underground shelters here, he said, indicating a location deep beneath the structure. But the Vex will know that too. Then we need to create an alternative extraction route, Reed decided. She turned to Voxel. Arbitrator, your species evolved in high-gravity environments, correct? Your physical strength exceeds human baseline by approximately 300%. Voxel's bioluminescent patterns flickered in surprise. Yes, but how is that relevant now? Reed handed him what looked like a simple metal rod. Press the activation switch. It's a gravity-modified combat staff calibrated for your physiology. We brought weapons designed for each major council species, just in case. The aliens stared in shock as Reed distributed specialized weapons to each representative, each device clearly designed with intimate knowledge of their specific biology and combat capabilities. You've been studying us, the Dravarian general realized. Not just our military tactics, but our individual physiologies. Know your potential allies as well as your potential enemies, Kane quoted. Now we need to move. The Vex troops will breach the diplomatic wing in less than 10 minutes. As they moved through the tower's emergency corridors, the first sounds of combat echoed from nearby sections. The distinctive heavy footfalls of Vex soldiers grew closer. Why would you help us? Voxel asked Harlow as they hurried toward a maintenance shaft. The council has not even voted on your proposal. You could have used this attack as leverage. Because that's not who we are, Harlow replied. Yes, humans can be deadly predators when threatened. But we're also intelligent enough to recognize potential allies. A sudden explosion rocked the corridor ahead, and 3 Vex soldiers appeared through the smoke. Nearly 3 meters tall, with chitinous armor and multiple limbs bearing energy weapons. They spotted the group and opened fire immediately. Reed and Kane moved with startling speed, positioning themselves between the aliens and the council representatives. The Vex clearly expected the humans to fall quickly, focusing their fire on what they perceived as the weakest targets. It was a fatal mistake. Reed dodged with fluid grace that seemed impossible for organic movement, her neural implants enhancing her reaction time beyond normal human limits. Kane activated a personal shield, technology that absorbed the enemy fire while drawing his sidearm and firing precise shots at the weak points in the Vex armor, gaps that most species didn't even know existed. Both humans moved with practiced coordination, as if they had fought Vex troops 100 times before. Within seconds, all 3 alien soldiers lay dead. How did you know the vulnerabilities in their armor? The Dravarian general asked, mandibles clicking in astonishment. The consortium has fought the Vex for decades, and we've never identified those weak points. Reed retrieved her weapon. We studied recordings of every Vex engagement in consortium archives. Their armor design prioritizes frontal protection, but sacrifices mobility at the joint seams. Standard consortium tactics involve direct confrontation, so you never exploited the weakness. We also analyzed their communication patterns, Kane added. Vex squad tactics rely on synchronized movements. Take out their lead soldier, and the others become temporarily disoriented. As they continued through the tower, more Vex soldiers appeared. Each time the humans demonstrated combat techniques, specifically tailored to exploit Vex vulnerabilities, techniques that the consortium military had never developed despite centuries of intermittent conflict. Humanity doesn't just adapt our own technology and tactics, Harlow explained as they reached a secure lift shaft. We study our opponents and identify their weaknesses. On Earth, predators who couldn't adapt to human hunting methods went extinct. We apply the same principle to potential threats among the stars. In orbit, the battle had taken an unexpected turn. The human stealth ships, though vastly outnumbered by the Vex fleet, were causing disproportionate damage. Rather than engaging in conventional ship-to-ship combat, they targeted specific systems, communication arrays, sensor nodes, propulsion manifolds, crippling the massive Vex warships without destroying them. Your ships are tiny compared to theirs, observed the Xanthian representative, watching tactical feeds. How are they so effective? Size doesn't determine deadliness, Reed replied. A microscopic virus can kill a giant. We designed our ships to be the galactic equivalent of Earth's most successful hunters. Not the largest, but the most lethal. As they reached the tower's command center, the full scale of the human response became clear. What had appeared to be a small diplomatic security force had transformed into the spearhead of a coordinated military operation. Human stealth ships were systematically dismantling the Vex blockade, while ground teams had appeared seemingly from nowhere to engage Vex forces throughout the city. The council representatives watched in silence as humanity demonstrated why they had become Earth's apex predator and perhaps the deadliest hunters the galaxy had ever seen. And when alien soldiers realized why humanity is the galaxy's deadliest predator, Part 4. The tower's central command center had been transformed into a joint operations hub. Human tactical officers worked alongside consortium technicians, their combined efforts gradually turning the tide against the Vex invasion. What had begun as a desperate defense was evolving into something the Vex clearly hadn't anticipated, a coordinated counterattack. Your soldiers fight differently, observed the Dravarian general, watching footage of human combat teams engaging Vex forces throughout the city. They don't maintain formation. They split up, regroup, change tactics mid-battle. Adaptability, Admiral Kane explained. Traditional military doctrine across most consortium species emphasizes rigid command structures and predetermined battle plans. Humans delegate authority to field commanders who can adjust to changing conditions in real time. On the main display, a small team of human soldiers was visible, moving through the ruins of a government building. They separated, used improvised tools to create distractions, communicated with hand signals instead of transmissions that could be intercepted, and approached their targets from unexpected angles. They're behaving like pack hunters, Voxel realized, his bioluminescence pulsing with growing understanding. Like the apex predators on your world. Exactly, Reed nodded. Wolves don't attack a moose head-on. They probe for weakness, separate it from the herd, attack from multiple angles. Humans adapted those same instincts into warfare. The Vex had landed their command ship in the city's central plaza, a massive fortress-like vessel serving as their forward headquarters. According to consortium military assessments, it was impregnable to conventional ground assault. We need to neutralize their command ship to disrupt their coordination, the Dravarian general stated, but our previous attempts to breach such vessels have always failed. Their defenses are too strong for a direct assault. Director Harlow smiled. Then we won't use a direct assault. He activated a tactical display showing a small team of human soldiers approaching the Vex command ship, not from the ground, but through the city's maintenance tunnels beneath the plaza. You're going under it? Voxel asked, confused. The Vex expect attacks from the air or ground, Reed explained. Their defensive systems are oriented accordingly. We analyzed the architectural plans of the plaza and identified maintenance tunnels that run directly beneath their landing zone. The alien representatives watched in astonishment as the human team reached a position beneath the massive ship. Instead of using explosives or energy weapons, they deployed what looked like simple mechanical devices attached to the tunnel ceiling. What are they doing? The Xanthian asked. Creating structural instability, Kane replied. Those devices are amplifying the natural ground vibrations from the ship's engines, creating harmonic resonance in the plaza's foundation. Within minutes, the seemingly solid ground beneath the Vex command ship began to crack. The massive vessel tilted as one landing strut sank into the collapsing surface. Alarms blared as the ship's stabilizers fought to compensate, but the damage was done. Systems designed to maintain the vessel's position in space weren't calibrated for this type of ground failure. Now, Harlow ordered. On another section of the display, a different human team launched what appeared to be simple projectiles at the now exposed underside of the tilting ship. The projectiles weren't explosives. They were penetrator drones that attached to the hull and began cutting through using focused molecular disruption. The Vex armor their ships against energy, weapons and conventional explosives, Reed explained. But the molecular structure of their hull material has a resonance vulnerability we identified by analyzing debris from previous encounters. Within the command center, the consortium representatives watched in silence as humanity demonstrated warfare unlike anything in their military doctrines. The humans weren't using overwhelming force or superior technology. They were exploiting specific weaknesses with precision attacks designed for maximum effect with minimum resources. Your species doesn't fight like soldiers, the Dravarian general observed. You fight like hunters. There's a difference? Asked Reed. A profound one, the general replied. Soldiers are trained to follow orders, to fight according to established doctrine. Hunters study their prey, learn its habits, exploit its vulnerabilities. On the display, the human penetrator drones had breached the Vex command ship's hull. Instead of a full assault team, only 2 human operatives entered through the breach, moving silently through the vessel's corridors, placing small devices at key junctions. What are they placing? Foxel asked. Neural disruptors, Kane answered. Calibrated specifically to the Vex central nervous system, non-lethal, but highly effective at temporarily disabling their higher cognitive functions. Minutes later, the massive Vex command ship's external lights flickered, its weapons systems powered down. Communication chatter from Vex forces throughout. The city became chaotic and uncoordinated. 2 humans just disabled a command ship carrying over 1,000 Vex soldiers, the Xanthian representative said in disbelief. Without firing a single shot. Why kill when you can incapacitate? Harlow replied. Dead enemies learn nothing. We want the Vex to understand that attacking the Council, and by extension humanity, was a profound mistake. In orbit, the battle was reaching its conclusion. Human vessels had systematically disabled the Vex fleet's command and control systems. Without central coordination, the once fearsome armada was reduced to individual ships fighting defensively. The Vex are retreating from the city, a consortium officer reported. Their ground forces are falling back to emergency extraction points. The Dravarian general's mandibles clicked in astonishment. We've fought the Vex for generations. Never have they retreated so quickly. They're not retreating because they're losing, Kane observed. They're retreating because they don't understand what they're fighting. Uncertainty is a powerful weapon against species that rely on predictable battle doctrines. As the immediate crisis subsided, the Council representatives gathered around the central holographic display, watching as human forces systematically neutralized remaining Vex resistance throughout the city. The efficiency was unlike anything they had witnessed before. Your ships, Voxel began. They don't match any known configuration in our records. They move, strangely, biomimetic propulsion systems, Reed explained, inspired by how sea creatures move through water on Earth. Traditional engine signatures are easy to detect. Ours mimic natural background radiation, patterns, and those weapons, they target specific systems rather than trying to destroy the entire vessel. Why waste energy? Destroying what you can simply disable? Harlow asked. Earth's most effective predators don't expend unnecessary energy. They strike at vital points, the throat, the spine, major arteries. The Dravarian general studied the tactical displays thoughtfully. The consortium has always approached warfare as a contest of technological superiority. Who has the biggest ships, the most powerful weapons? Your approach is disturbing. It's effective, Kane corrected. And it's how humanity survived on a world where we weren't the strongest, fastest, or most naturally armed species. We became the apex predator through intelligence, cooperation, and adaptation. As reports continued to flow in, the full scale of the human response became clear. What had appeared to be a small diplomatic mission had, coordinated with hidden human assets throughout consortium space to mount a defense that had repelled the most feared military force in the galaxy, I believe, Voxel said slowly, his bioluminescence forming patterns of formal declaration. The Council's decision regarding humanity's petition has become rather obvious. The other representatives nodded in solemn agreement. We would much rather have you as allies, the Xanthian added, than as adversaries. Harlow smiled. That was our preference as well. As the immediate crisis subsided, the alien representatives began to understand what they were witnessing, the emergence of a new power in the galaxy. Not one that conquered through brute force, but one that hunted with intelligence, precision, and a predatory instinct honed across thousands of years of evolution. Humanity had revealed itself as the deadliest predator the stars had ever seen, and the galaxy would never be the same. When alien soldiers realized why humanity is the galaxy's deadliest predator, Part 5, 3 months after the Vex attack, the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council convened for a historic session. The massive room had been repaired, though evidence of the battle remained in the form of newly replaced crystals that hadn't yet developed the characteristic patina of age. Representatives from over 400 worlds filled the tiered seating, with one significant addition: a new section dedicated to the human delegation. Commander Reed stood at the observation balcony, watching as Director Harlow prepared to address the assembled representatives. The mood was somber yet expectant. News of humanity's role in repelling the Vex had spread throughout consortium space, generating both admiration and unease. "They're still afraid of us," Admiral Kane noted, joining Reed at the railing. "With good reason," she replied. "We demonstrated capabilities they didn't think possible for a species at our development stage. And yet here we are, being formally recognized as equals rather than threats." Reed smiled slightly. "Fear and respect aren't mutually exclusive." Below, Arbitrator Voxel's bioluminescence brightened as he called the session to order. The chamber quieted immediately. "Today marks a significant moment in consortium history," Voxel began. "For the first time in 12,000 cycles, we welcome a new sovereign power to full council membership, without the traditional probationary period." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Such an exception was unprecedented. The events of the past season have demonstrated that humanity possesses not only the technological capability, but also the ethical judgment worthy of immediate recognition. Voxel continued. "Director Harlow will now present Earth's formal acceptance of the Council Charter." As Harlow moved to the central platform, Reed's tactical display quietly updated with security information. Human stealth ships remained stationed throughout the system, not as a threat but as a reminder. The lessons of the Vex attack had not been forgotten. "Representatives of the Galactic Consortium," Harlow began, his voice carrying easily through the vast chamber, "humanity accepts with gratitude the invitation to join this ancient and honorable body. We come not as conquerors but as contributors, bringing our unique perspective to the collective wisdom of the galaxy." The Dravarian general, now serving as the military liaison to the human delegation, shifted uncomfortably. "Your unique perspective nearly paralyzed our entire defense network," he muttered. "And then saved the council from destruction," Reed countered quietly. "Sometimes the most dangerous predator makes the most valuable ally." Harlow continued his address, outlining humanity's commitments to consortium principles of non-aggression, cultural exchange, and technological cooperation. Yet beneath the diplomatic language lay an unmistakable subtext. Earth would maintain its independence and defend its interests with the same efficiency it had demonstrated against the Vex. "In recognition of humanity's specialized capabilities," Harlow announced, "we offer to establish a joint security initiative focused on asymmetric threats to consortium stability. While your traditional military forces excel at conventional warfare, recent events have shown the value of alternative approaches." On the chamber's displays, footage appeared of human special operations teams training alongside elite units from various consortium species. The humans were teaching their alien counterparts techniques developed over centuries of Earth warfare: guerrilla tactics, infiltration methods, adaptive response protocols. The Predator sharing its hunting secrets, the Xanthian representative observed from her position near Reed. "Knowledge shared strengthens everyone," Reed replied. "We have much to learn from you as well." "Do we? Your technology may be less advanced in some areas, but your application of it has proven superior to our own." Reed turned to face the feathered alien diplomat. "Technology is just a tool. It's how you use it that matters. The Vex had bigger ships, more powerful weapons, and they lost because they couldn't adapt when their expectations were challenged." On the central platform, Harlow had concluded the formal acceptance. Voxel presented him with the ancient crystal key that symbolized council membership, a tradition dating back to the consortium's founding. "With this exchange," Voxel announced, "humanity is recognized as a full and equal member of the Galactic Consortium, with all rights and responsibilities thereto." The chamber erupted in formal applause, though Reed noted many representatives seemed more relieved than celebratory. The unspoken truth hung in the air. Better to have humanity inside the consortium than potentially opposed to it. After the ceremony, the human delegation gathered in their newly established embassy within the Council Tower. The space had been designed to accommodate human physiology while showcasing elements of Earth culture, a diplomatic gesture intended to normalize humanity's presence among the stars. "Phase 1 complete," Harlow said, setting the crystal key on a display pedestal. Formal recognition achieved without requiring further demonstrations. The Vex attack was actually fortunate timing, Kane observed. It allowed us to demonstrate our capabilities as allies rather than potential adversaries. Reed studied the tactical displays showing human ships now openly patrolling alongside consortium vessels. They'll be studying everything we do, trying to understand our capabilities, searching for weaknesses. Of course they will, Harlow nodded. Just as we continue to study them. The difference is, we've accepted that reality from the beginning. They're still adjusting to the idea that a seemingly primitive species might have been watching them for decades. A Tellurian aide entered, mandibles clicking respectfully. Arbitrator Voxel requests Director Harlow's presence for the Security Council session. After Harlow departed, Reed and Kane moved to the embassy's observation deck, looking out over the sprawling council city. In the distance, construction crews were rebuilding areas damaged during the Vex attack, their massive machinery looking like toys from this height. Do you think they'll ever truly understand us? Kane asked. Reed considered the question. Probably not completely. Most consortium species evolved in environments where cooperation was more advantageous than competition. Their civilizations developed through consensus rather than conflict. The concept of a species that became dominant by outthinking and hunting its competitors is alien to them. And yet they're adapting quickly, Kane noted. The Dravarian military has already incorporated several of our tactical innovations into their training protocols. Adaptation is the universal constant, Reed replied. Even herbivores develop defenses against predators. The question is whether they can adapt quickly enough to the changing nature of threats in the galaxy. Below, a group of consortium civilians was being guided through the public section of the human embassy. They moved with obvious curiosity, studying displays of Earth's ecosystems, arts, and history. Many lingered at the exhibition showing humanity's evolution from tree-dwelling primates to global civilization. They see our history and think they understand us, Kane observed. But they're missing the crucial element, which is that we never stopped being predators. We just changed what we hunt and how we hunt it. Knowledge, resources, security, these became our prey, and we pursue them with the same instincts that our ancestors used to track animals across the savannah. Reed nodded. The deadliest predator is the one that can change its tactics faster than its prey can adapt. That's always been humanity's advantage, on Earth and now among the stars. In the weeks that followed, human integration into the consortium proceeded with remarkable smoothness. Earth vessels began participating in joint patrols. Human scientists shared selected technologies with consortium research centers. Cultural exchanges brought alien visitors to Earth while humans traveled to dozens of consortium worlds. Yet beneath this diplomatic harmony, a fundamental truth remained. The galaxy had witnessed something unprecedented, a species that combined the cooperative civilization building of the consortium with the predatory instincts of evolution on a dangerous world. The Vex Dominion had withdrawn to their territory on the galactic rim, their once aggressive expansion halted by the demonstration of what happened when they challenged humanity. Other potential threats throughout the galaxy received the same unspoken message. The humans might appear peaceful, but they were hunters to their core. 6 months after formal recognition, Commander Reed stood aboard the human flagship Artemis as it patrolled the border of consortium space. A communication request came through from Arbitrator Voxel. Commander, the aliens' bioluminescence formed patterns of formal respect. The Council has received disturbing reports of unknown vessels operating beyond the outer rim. They match no known configuration and have not responded to communication attempts. You want us to investigate, Reed stated. Not a question. Voxel's patterns shifted subtly. The Council believes humanity's unique approach to such situations might prove valuable. Reed smiled. Because you want to know if they're dangerous. Because, Voxel replied carefully, if they are dangerous, we would rather have the galaxy's most efficient predators on our side when we meet them.